Welcome, friends. Welcome to MuniMeterHealth, your source of learning about the human heart and cardiology, where the forte is to improve the medical education and patient education in order to improve the clinical outcomes. What is conduction system of the heart? Let's discuss that briefly today. Well, the conduction system of the heart consists of specialized fibers and nerves that traverse through a certain path within the heart in order to have an electrical impulse traverse through the heart so that the entire contraction and relaxation can facilitate a complete emptying and filling of the heart in one full cardiac cycle. Okay, now obviously we know heart is a muscle, so like any other muscle, it should contract and relax. So let's look at the schematic quickly and understand what we mean by this. So here is my favorite schematic, which I normally draw. The heart has 4 chambers, as you know. The heart is a muscle, and it contracts and relaxes, and that constitutes a heartbeat, as you know. Now, here are the valves, and which we have discussed in prior videos. Now, the conduction system is actually lodged somewhere here, if you will, and I'll draw that in a different color code here. Now, the origination of the wiring, we call it the wiring of the house. Just like the wiring of the house, we have the wiring within the heart. So this is where it originates. It's called the sinoatrial node, and the impulse travels through these specialized fibers down into the AV node. We call it AV node, and from there it traverses in a bundle form. There are numerous fibers that are coming in here, and this is called the bundle of His. And the bundle of His obviously is named after Dr. His, several decades, more than a century ago, when he isolated these bundles. And then subsequently they traverse into 2 various bundles, as you see, one traversing all the way into the right ventricle and going up like this, and the other one is traversing all the way down and then up into the left ventricle in this fashion. So the whole bunch of fibers, they actually traverse and later on supply the entire heart. So this becomes your right bundle, obviously, supplying the right ventricle and the right side of the heart, and this becomes your left bundle branch. Okay, so you have sinoatrial node, AV node, bundle of His, and then right bundle and left bundle, and then there are minor fibers that go around the heart, because remember, it's a 3-dimensional structure, so you'll have Purkinje fibers. You don't have to remember them, but just so that you know, these are the end-on fibers later on as the nerves get traversed throughout the impulse gets traversed throughout the heart. So now the impulse travels here. Why? Because this is your generator. This is called your pacemaker, the pacemaker that you and we all have in our hearts, given by the Almighty. So this is where the impulse is generated. The electrical impulse will traverse here and in this direction, and in this direction only in a normal fashion. Now this way the top chambers will contract first. Why? Because the impulse arrives in these chambers first. As simple as that. Now as the impulse starts traveling here, these chambers will begin to relax, which means now they'll be ready to fill up more. So when they contract, they empty out here into these bigger chambers called the ventricles. This is your right ventricle and this is your left ventricle, and as the blood is traversing here, now the impulse is also traveling here. What happens is now it's a turn for the ventricles to contract and push. So they push it and they send it up into these big vessels called pulmonary artery here and the aorta here. Now the blood is all emptied out from the ventricles, you see. So the atria will empty into the ventricles will empty them into these vessels, and this is one full cardiac cycle. It took me a couple of minutes to define this, but just so that you know, the electrical impulse traverses along the set path, and that's called the conduction system, traversing from sinoatrial node to the AV node and down into these bundle of His and the right bundle branch and the left bundle branch, and then into these Purkinje fibers, in order to complete the electrical activity and thereby complete the cardiac cycle, which entails complete filling first and then emptying next. Okay, hope you enjoyed this session, and keep sharing with your friends, please, and let us know what you think about it, and we'd love to hear from you. All right, and until then, stay on MuniMeter.